Hey, what's going on? This is Billy Newman. I'm here today recording a test podcast with my friend Robert Biscarret. Robert, how you doing?
Doing well. How you doing?
Doing good, man. I'm happy that we're trying out this FaceTime audio call, and it sounds like it's working pretty good. So we'll try and work it out over time to see if it works all right. But I was hoping my audio is coming over to you well.
Yeah, everything's coming in loud and clear. I'm excited to do this. It should be fun.
Yeah, I know it'd be cool if we can kind of get a rhythm get down doing it. It would be pretty easy. I mean, gosh, man, you just got your phone right now. That's cake. But yeah, I wanted to do a podcast with you, maybe about, well, what I was figuring is just like a lot of the outdoor topics that we're both interested in, or just some of the other stories or camping trips that we've done in the past that would be cool to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. I don't really know anything about anything outdoors related, but
Yeah, right.
but I'm willing to talk.
Oh man, you know plenty, I'm sure. But yeah, I was thinking of, well, you should tell us a little bit about some of the raft guide experience that you had in the past, because I think that'd be kind of interesting to start to break down a little bit. Like, so when did you start guiding stuff?
You mean like season, or when did I just start in
I guess
general?
just like rowing or anything like that. Like yeah, when did you start in general?
Yeah, I started like 4 years ago, and I kind of fell into it. It was something I wanted to do for a long time, but the opportunity really presented itself at the time it did, and wow, man, what an experience! It's really interesting learning that. You take it for granted, or you just kind of assume that it doesn't take much to do, and then you get behind the oars, and then all of a sudden it's just really eye opening. You really gain a respect for the people that are good at it.
Yeah, I can only imagine really because I've like I had that job down on the river on the Rogue River for a while, so I kind of understand the
Yeah.
atmosphere of what's going on down there. But like even the times that you let me row just for a few minutes, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm out of it. This is like a talent or this is a skill to build definitely. But so you started the season, you did like the day trips, like the river trips of the normal section on the Rogue River, and then that
Wow.
second year, right, is when you moved into the wild and scenic section, or was it that first year?
That first year I kind of got some training experience down there. They wanted me to come down and learn, and it was
Yeah.
really nice. I was fortunate enough to really learn from some great oarsmen. But yeah, so I got down there. I wasn't really working down there, but I was experiencing it, kind of getting a vibe for what it was like, and just kind of getting, cutting my teeth down there. So it was good. Learned a lot, but even though you learn a lot,
Oh
nothing can
yeah.
really prepare you for working down there full time. And that was my second season when I was asked to come down and do that full time, and that was crazy, man.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
you're just working.
I had a question about that. Like, I wanted to know about one of those first experiences of like, because there's a couple of in the downriver section on the Rogue River. There's the wild and scenic section of the river to catch people up, and that's how long is that? Is that like 42 miles, 45?
Roughly. River miles always vary from
Sure.
the BLM Mark Trail miles, but yeah, right in that ballpark.
Okay, yeah, so something like that. So there's the wild and scenic section where there's really no development or no modern development, and there's a limited amount of rafts that go down through this section each day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a permit system through the BLM, Bureau of Land Management. And essentially, what they do is they allow 120 people down per day. And I know that sounds like a lot, but in reality, I mean, it's really sparse. You
Is that
really
like
don't
12
run into
boats?
very many people. It can be as many boats as you like. I mean, it could be 120 boats,
Right. Okay.
but
Yeah.
but there's a limit of 120 people.
Sure.
And typically, you're running 2 to 3 if you're a private boater per boat. Us as a guide company, we're running 6 people per boat, so
Right.
we
Okay.
kind of consolidate a little bit.
Yeah, I was wondering how that worked. Well, so I know that there's like a couple of those features on that lower rogue section that are like pretty heavy, like Blossom Bar. And I wanted you to, I remember you told me a story about that. I think was it like the first summer of that where you were like learning how to navigate Blossom. And like
Yeah,
I guess for background, like how dangerous or like what is Blossom as a feature in the
Blossom
river?
Blossom is this rapid that used to be a full day portage around it. Commercial trips have been running down there since the early 20s, and back then they used to camp just above it, take a full day to portage, um, and that was it. In the 40s, this guy Glenn Wooldridge, who is really the Rogue River pioneer. I mean,
I've
he's the
heard
guy
he's
that
yeah.
really just commercialized this river and just did so much down there. Well, he ended up dynamiting it out, under 3 separate attempts. he blasts a massive channel in this thing. Well, I say it's not massive at all. Actually, it's a technical tiny channel. Um, but anyway, he does it in a way that the flood water will send debris off to the side, keeping the channel that he blasted clear and allowing a tricky maneuver through it, um, which
Yeah,
is totally doable. It's entirely dependent on having that move correct.
right.
It's a move that it's not that hard. We always say it's a class 2 move with class 5 consequences. You
Yeah,
know,
the first time I
yeah,
saw it, I hadn't really got to raft the lower rogue section that many times. So the first time I saw it, I think was years ago, and then a second time when you and I did that backpacking trip down the lower rogue trail. So my first
yeah.
exposure to Blossom Bar was only ever seeing it kind of from up above. I remember the first time it was like what 2010, something like that. I was on that backpacking trip in September with Jeremy. We got down to
Uh,
Blossom Bar. We waited maybe 5 minutes. It was cake, and we saw this pontoon come through, and he's like, yeah, man, watch this. It's going to be like pretty gnarly because this is one of the scariest rapids that are out there. And we saw this pontoon guy come up, and he just like slipped it perfectly, just went right in and out, and it was nothing. And I was like, oh, that looks easy. Like from up here, from 80 feet away, everybody's saying this is going to be like a giant, terrible trauma to try and float through. And then you don't really realize until like when you and I did the trip later, I think what, 2 years ago, a year ago now? Yeah,
yeah,
like a
yeah.
year and a half ago. And I'm looking at a picture right now up on my wall of of a kayaker coming in right in the pocket of that spot in Blossom Bar. And I remember now being there with you. How what was it, an 18-foot raft that was just edge to edge against the rock that you had to kind of skirt it
Yeah,
right, swing it right in between.
yeah. So it's a tight boat for anything. I mean, when you were there, that kayaker got into some pretty serious trouble
Yeah,
for a minute. That was scary to watch.
that was a hairy situation. Yeah, that definitely kind of solidified again that it's a pretty big deal, or it's like a dangerous spot.
Yeah, it's one of those rapids. An experience from a lot of people I've met that have rafted big class 5 water. They kind of look at it with this like oh, that's your big scary rapid approach. Um, and it's not a big deal, it's not a big deal until you mess it up. And then when you mess it up, you learn how quickly um, it changes the game. And I mean, what a humbling
Sure.
experience to go from like, oh yeah, it's nothing, and then you find yourself in very serious trouble very quickly.
So tell me about that, Robert. So when was it that you first navigated Blossom as a guide yourself, or as just a boater yourself?
So yeah, I guess that was what 2014, 2000, yeah,
It
somewhere in
sounds
there.
about right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I get out there. Um, I've been rowing for all of 2 weeks. I kind of got this job for just kind of saying, yeah, I know what I'm doing, and on on the on the premise that I would just be able to figure it out in a short amount of time. Um, so anyway, I get down there. I'm shadowing a great oarsman that I was stoked to learn from.
Cool.
Um, yeah, and so he's taking me down, kind of giving me the overview of all these rapids before we get there.
Yeah, and
Um,
just to mention quickly, I mean, it's not like the first thing on the river's Blossom. There's a lot of things to get through that I wouldn't want to do for my first time.
Well, yeah, and so that was the cool thing is I had this awesome day running with him. I can you can see him up about 60 yards up in the distance, and you're kind of watching what he's doing and mimicking it. And the first day was great, man. It gave me a really false sense of confidence. I came through that first day just being like, man, I'm pretty good, and so day two, we make it through Mule Creek Canyon, which is a really tight
That is
technical
tight. Yeah.
area. Um, we get through there and we get down into Blossom, and he's like, "Yeah, this is the one, man. Good luck to you." And uh, the unfortunate part about that is you can't really see what the oarsman in front of you is doing
Oh, really?
when they go, because
Right.
you have to eddy out above it.
I remember the perspective. They kind of drop away, like they're just
Yeah,
gone. Yeah.
it's just like they drop off and kind of disappear, and you just kind of have to. I mean, you count to 10, and hopefully you see them.
Oh my
Kind
gosh.
of peek out from behind the rocks. So finally, I count to 10, and he comes through, and I go, okay, and I guess I just had a terrible interpretation of what I was supposed to do there. Um, and I made the mistake that I've seen a lot of people make since then, standing up on the bank and watching other boaters.
Oh yeah.
And it's a really big, it's a heavy pull move in there. You're pulling. You need all that strength because you're working against the current in there.
Right. I remember you prepping us for it. Like when we get in, we gotta pull back. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you're trying to catch this eddy to slow you down because you've got a lot of momentum going through there. I was taught to push on the oars rather than pull. So I come in trying to push it, obviously not strong enough. I I missed that major move, just that pivotal move coming in there. I miss it. I get slammed up against what's called the wrap rock on the picket fence, and for anybody listening, the picket fence is a series of rocks because of the dynamiting that kind of sit up almost like fingers out of the water, with just about enough space for a person to get wedged in.
Just to get sucked right into and stuck in?
Yeah.
Perfect.
A lot of sieves in there, and just a place you absolutely don't want to be.
Absolutely, right.
Long story short, I get pushed up against there. The boat is, listing. I'm trying to get it around, get my channel. Just an idea of how strong water is. I'm not a big guy, but I'm throwing all my weight onto these oars and just doing everything I can. I've got adrenaline going, everything. And I mean, the current just grabs this oar and just shoots it in the air like 10 feet, like a rocket. I don't even know how it happened.
Oh my gosh.
But it just launches it. And at this moment I go, oh no.
There goes that. I needed that one.
Yeah, and it's amazing how time slows down in those scenarios. But it grabs my upstream tube, it sucks it under, the boat starts to flip. I don't know how this ended up happening. I ended up scrambling up over the raft as it's flipping, and I land onto this rock called the wrap rock. My boat flips, it goes down in the channel, and I watch it go right by me. A lack of experience made me think I would be safer not jumping on the boat. In retrospect, I don't know why I didn't jump back on the boat.
That's the more you know. Yeah, things you learn after almost drowning.
Yeah. And so I end up on this rock, and to give you an idea of the size of the rock, it's about 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet. And I'm standing out there, on this rock in the picket fence, the most dangerous part of Blossom Bar, and no way out. You're like, well, gosh. I'm not going to jump in the water here.
Yeah, absolutely.
A bittersweet situation came up. I mean, it was fortunate for me, unfortunate for the other boaters, but some private boaters had come down and they had wrapped their boat far left at the fence. And really, I mean, I'm fairly certain they lost that boat entirely.
Oh, wow.
But fortunately, there was a guy on the bank with a throw rope. He was able to throw a rope out to me and pull me back across to safety. But I mean, the whole thing from start to finish ended up taking about an hour and a half.
Really? I didn't realize it was that long of a time that you were out there just stuck.
Well, yeah, you're out there, and first off, they're dealing with their situation, which is a pretty high stress situation.
Yeah.
But then he comes out to me. It's a far throw. It's you got to be careful you're not slipping or something.
Yeah.
But it took like 20 throws to get me the rope. And then each time you got to bring the rope back in, coil it back up, get it flaked back out, and then try it again. And yeah, it was an experience.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of the zone where it would have happened right now, and I'm just kind of spotting like the picket fence, the rocks, like where the people were to the left of the river. That sounds like a crazy time though. But so
it was.
So your raft went downriver, or like did it deflate?
No, I got so lucky.
Oh my gosh!
I got everything back. The oars ended up back with it. The only thing I lost was my cot, which I was getting a lot of flack for anyway, just because it was a super heavy, cumbersome cot, and everybody was like, "You need to get rid of that thing."
That's not gonna last. Yeah, get rid of that thing. That's bad gear.
Yeah. Yeah.
The river took it.
Yeah. Yep.
Man, that's a nuts story though. That's a crazy thing. Have you ever had?
Yeah.
Like how
Go
many
ahead.
other close calls did like your team have that season or or since then, or is that kind of often that you guys run into that?
You know, I didn't think it was a very frequent thing until you go down and you watch people that aren't down there every day,
Right.
and you can stand there for an hour, and if there's boats coming through, um, I would say 1 in 10 boats has a run the way it's supposed to go through.
Oh my gosh.
Um, I would say 90% of the boats that go through, they either get really lucky and the river smiles on them that day and they get to move on,
Yeah.
um, or they end up in trouble and flip a boat or rip a floor out or something.
I watched the guy wrap his kayak. Man, I was thinking about it though in like 2012, and you probably know these guys. Back in, I think it was 2012 when Marina and I were camping down there for 2 days. That was like the beginning of October. The fishing season had started. And I remember
Yeah.
sitting out there with the camera watching this like beautiful, like hardwood polished drift boat just cruise right through there like it's just nothing. Like he's just steering
Yeah.
a bus or something. Like it's easy. But yeah, you just like see that guy float right through and like pull out
That,
to the side in the right spot. And you just think, wow, how does that guy do that with such like a fragile machine?
the drift boats are really such an art, and I've been fortunate enough. I got to run a season down there with it with mine this year,
That's
and
so cool.
it's boy, you really increase the stress by tenfold. Um, you don't have the luxury of bouncing like you do with a rubber raft.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, any mistake is really a potential boat sinking experience.
Ugh.
Um, so it's by the time you're rowing a drift boat down there, you really understand what you're doing and where these channels are. Um, and the other neat thing about a drift boat is the way they're designed is they're like a Ferrari. I'm not downplaying the difficulty of what's going on in
Sure.
them.
Yeah.
They're easier to maneuver, but the stakes are higher. Um, and so it's just important that you make those moves like that. And it's an art to watch drift boaters go down there. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. It seems amazing like how they're just able to hit that line so perfectly and just move right to the
Yeah.
spot. It's really cool. But yeah, that's a pretty nuts time though. That sounds like a crazy first time. And then what since then, how many times have you done the lower rogue after that?
Man, I would
Kind of
say
rough number, like
yeah, I was trying to figure that out. I would say 70 times maybe.
wow. 70
Yeah.
runs of the river, you just even like that's just a couple years too. That's probably a ton of experience.
It is. I mean, there's still so much to learn. Every time you go down, you learn something new, or some scenario that you've never planned for or even thought about happens.
Yeah.
Just the most obscure thing, and you go, "Wow, okay, I learned something from that."
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's pretty cool, man. I'm really glad you finished up this season and that you got that drift boat too and that trailer.
I did. Yeah, I
think that's
purchased that
pretty
this
cool.
year. Got into the fishing gig. Rowing down there with some really great oarsmen, and I mean, really getting that drift boat experience down there.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
nerve wracking, but so rewarding.
Yeah, it sounds really cool. We got to find a mellow spot of water that you and I can go out on sometime on your drift boat. I want to check it out.
Yeah, I want to take you guys out. I'd like to do some fly fishing. That's what I want to do. I'd
Oh,
like
that'd
to
be
get
so
you
cool.
guys out there and actually give you guys a fishing trip, man.
Oh, that'd be
I
so
mean,
fun. I'd love to do something
you
like
know,
that. Yeah.
yeah, those trips are expensive. So I mean, you got to capitalize on knowing
Got to
somebody.
capitalize on knowing somebody who's a good guide, man. That's going to be great. Yeah, you're set up, man. You got all the gear. So that's going to be pretty
Yeah.
cool. We'll look
Yeah,
forward to
finally
a
there.
yeah, right after your honeymoon this summer. You can just put us on a fishing trip. I think that's a good idea.
That sounds great to me. The fall time, that's where it's at. Well, the honeymoon's going to happen, and then I'm just not going to want to work at all. I'm going to be out of it. It's going to be like, I don't want to go back to work. We should just go fishing. So that's a great
Hey man,
time.
I'll be in. I think it'd be great.
I'll be acclimated to time off.
As much as I can monopolize your time, that'd be great. I'm in, man. I think it'd be fun. But yeah, we got to plan some good camping trips this summer, and I want to get you back east in like Eastern Oregon or some other river. I don't know how we do it, but we should just get out and go camping somewhere else too.
I'd like to get the raft and get out there on like the Hawaii or like John Day or something like that.
Oh, that'd be cool. I don't know anything about them. I don't know what a raft trip is like out there, but it just seems cool to like go out to a different spots that maybe we've camped before, but there's like that river access and we've just never gone down it or explored it. Seems like it'd be fun.
Yeah. there's a lot of neat rivers out there. I love that area. I mean, we've always been going out there. But yeah, those rivers are both known for just being incredibly scenic. You know, class 3 water at best. Not very technical water. And just really like an awesome experience from what I understand.
No,
I obviously got to do a little homework on it, but
we'll study up, and then we got to plan a trip out this summer. It'd be cool.
Nah, let's go blind.
we'll just jump in, get some floaties, hit the river. That'll be a good time, man. Well, thanks, Robert, for doing this podcast. I really appreciate it. Hanging out for a few minutes, talking about that backstory. That's a amazing story. It's just like a crazy time. So I'm glad you pulled it off.
Me too. Yeah, I think it worked out. It worked out in everybody's best interest.
No, man, it's really cool. Well, yeah, I really want to get you back on, and I want to set up a few more of these to do some shows like this where we get to talk about some of the outdoor stuff that you've done. Even just that, man, like going through a cool story that you had of like some kind of tense situation. I think that's going to be really fun.
Well, yeah, and the cool thing is we've done enough of these things together that I don't think we have any shortage of stories to share.
I was thinking the same thing about it. I think it'd be cool. All right,
well,
Robert.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you, man. I'm gonna let you go, and I wanted to say thank you very much, Robert, and thanks for I guess anybody that ends up listening to this podcast. On behalf of Robert Biscarret, my name is Billy Newman, and thank you very much for listening to this podcast.